Welcome to another episode from the Daily Database Insights from the site. I am your favorite host, and I'm going to show you a couple of things following the installation of the graphical user interface SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server 2025. I have since rolled back all that installation, so this is a clean slate because what I'm gonna try to demonstrate here is how to install all of that good stuff on the command line, and pretty much is the whole idea of out of sight out of mind. So pretty much we have to create an image that we're going to use for this installation. I've already put everything together, and I have a configuration file here which has already been configured with all the good stuff that we need, and I'll be sharing all of this after the fact. And then I have this batch file that I'm going to use to call all of this installation. So if you're looking at this, I will kick off the installation for SQL Server 2025, and it's going to be referencing the configuration .ini file. And then once that is done, I am going to also install SSMS 21 quietly. That means unattended as well on the command line. So this is pretty much installing SQL Server and SSMS at the click of a button. I will start by running my command prompt as administrator. I'll change the directory into the install folder. And then we're going to look at the file that we need to call. And this is going to be the file that I need to call, SQL 2025 BAT or batch file. So this is the moment of truth. I'm going to call that. And it goes out and calls the setup, and it's using that configuration file. Part of what I have defined in the configuration file is we need to indicate the progress on the command line, and that is exactly what we're seeing over here. So what I'm going to do is I will let this run for some time, and actually this is going to be one of those scenarios where, let's say you have a requirement or a request to build out an installation image that's going to be used at a plant or a location far away from your office. And so you have to build this image, and you have to create probably a readme text that you're going to ship with this image, and whoever is going to be on the plant or at the plant, all they need to do is to make sure they download the files, decrypt the files that have been sent to them, and then just open the command prompt as whatever it is and be able to run this as an administrator. And for some weird reason we've run into issues, so what that means is I have to go and investigate what the issue really is. So back up here, there you go. So it's telling us that we need to get rid of something from our configuration file. And then I'm not sure why. So there is a command that is not recognized here. Okay, let's this is what happens on a daily basis when you work in tech. Most of the time in tech, you are doing debugging than really um, doing the main part of it, development. Or, yeah, 1 second. All right, so this is my configuration file. Let me edit that based on the error. It is saying that we don't need this one over here. Actually, I don't know why I put that up there because it's for SQL Express edition. So what I'll do is I will change this to false. And if you have any questions regarding all of this, I can always explain it to you and point you in the right direction. So that is done. I'll come back to this one here, so that we need to figure this one out as well. You know, we'll come back to that one when it fails again, but I will copy that error and I will paste it there, and we can investigate that error while the installation is going on. So I'll be back to the installation and I'm going to run it again, and it's kicked off again. So while that is going on, which seems like now it is, let me try to investigate what this is, and then we can adjust this accordingly. Yeah, we'll probably run this separately. But so far so good. I like it. In the meantime, the SQL Server database is installing, so that's a good thing. So let me go here and just make sure that file exists, because yeah, it does. Yeah, the file exists there. Okay. All right, so what I was initially talking about is you have a requirement to build an image that's going to be used for an offsite SQL Server installation. So normally what you would do is bake in all the scripts. So pretty much once this database has been installed, then what you need is to also call every other script that is always a post installation script. This means you're going to be building the maintenance uh, jobs, you're going to be building the SQL Server instance configuration, you'll be putting the databases that are going to be needed over there, you'll be creating the different configurations for everything that is included in the post installation. In that way, all that's going to be needed to do once the installation is done is you may either get an alert based on how you've set up your image. Everything is ready to go, or at least is already configured, and all that is there to do is just to click the button and go grab your coffee. So there's going to be a requirement like this for you from time to time. So when you look on the start button on the start menu, you can see here that the software is actually being laid down, the 2025 software, and everything is coming up. So I can go to the configuration manager here, and you can see that at the moment it is unreachable because everything is still being installed. Alright, I'm gonna pause the video and I'll be right back as soon as this is done. So the database engine installation is complete, and this is my indication that it is complete. Now if we come over here and now launch the configuration manager, you can see here that we have SQL Server 2025 running on this box, and we have accomplished this through the command line. Now the piece that is still pending is the installation of the SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm gonna try to do a few things here. Let's see what happens. It did not like that. I'll switch it with the install piece. And it looks like it is going. And so I think we're just going to go ahead and install it this way. Seems like that didn't work as well, so let's go back to our original way of doing this. Okay. Well, seems like the command line is not working and the offline Probably I need to check some files that may have been corrupted here. But up to this point, I think we've accomplished what we needed to do here, which was to do command line database SQL Server 2025 installation. So that is complete, and we can see here that the components are running. And of course, if you wanted to test or check confirm that you can connect to it, you need to use your SQL CMD -s period for the default instance. Of course, not on this window, but the next window. 1 second. SQL CMD -s period the certificates. So let's trust the certificate, and there we are. So we are able to connect right there. So, and if you see here, the databases that are on this box are only the system database, the master, the temp DB, and the model, and of course the MSDB database. All right, that concludes our installation on the command line. Again, if you know anybody who is trying to do an unattended SQL Server 2025 installation, you must show them this video, and if they're still struggling with it, tell them to contact me, because I'm going to point them in the right direction. Thank you, and have a good day.